Over the past few weeks, we have seen so many different people melting down over Gamergate 2, and they cannot fathom the idea that consumers do not want to support narrative consultation companies and the bad work that they're doing. But now a Compulsion Games community manager is claiming "I hate gamers" after previously stating white male gamers were a mistake. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, it will come as no surprise to see the very people in the industry that need our money attacking us and unfortunately attacking white male gamers, but this is a That Park Place article. It says the Compulsion Games community manager, Katie Robinson, recently claimed "I hate gamers," and this really isn't a shocking statement simply because there are so many individuals within the industry, whether they are writers, producers, directors of games, leads of studios. There are plenty of those people that come out and constantly say that they hate the very individuals that they need to sell products to, and I don't know why they continuously do this, because they do not realize that all they are doing is losing money at that point. I'm not going to support a studio who says they hate me or they hate my existence, and nobody should want to do that. You are giving people money that absolutely hate you. It says, as brought to public attention by ex-user Screamer RSA and further highlighted by Mark Kern, Robinson announced she was the community manager for Compulsion Games back in September of 2023. On Instagram, she wrote, "I'm happy and proud to announce that I've joined the amazing team at Xbox's very own Compulsion Games as their new community manager." So yes, they are a first-party studio for Xbox, and recently I've had to talk quite a bit about, Xbox slash Microsoft's new, game inclusion standards. They basically came up with this very long checklist of things you could be doing differently in video games, like, are your female characters believable? Do they wear armor that is appropriate for the situation that they're in? Is there any sort of offensive gender stereotypes within their work? Tons of things like that for developers to basically police themselves with. But she added, after spending 9+ years in the gaming space as a content creator, "I'm excited to begin my journey and make an impact on the other side of the industry," which is absolutely hilarious because that means at one point she considered herself a gamer, but now that she's actually part of the industry, she thinks that she's better than the rest of us. I mean, it's all narcissistic behavior on her end, but this post actually resurfaced after Kern shared information he received from a former Compulsion Games developer that the company had changed the race of its main character for their upcoming South of Midnight game after it hired Sweet Baby Inc. as a consultant. Now, this isn't very surprising. We have heard from so many media outlets that, Sweet Baby Inc. and narrative consultation companies don't do what you think they do, but that's a lie. They do exactly what you think they do. They sometimes make massive changes to video games, and yes, ultimately it's the developers implementing it, but you're not going to hire a group of people to look over your work and make suggestions if you're not going to utilize those suggestions, because then it would be a complete and utter waste of money. And apparently these were actually images of the before and after when the lead character Hazel was a white woman versus her newer design where they made her black. Now, I actually recently had to talk about Compulsion Games because they decided to support Crystal Dynamics' trigger warning for the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered, and they actually had said many video games are a product of the times they were created in. As we look to recreate and remaster these stories for modern audiences, it's important to consider the implication of these harmful portrayals and do our part to rewrite new history, not repeat it, which is hilarious because they either meant rewrite history or write new history. Either way, this is a absolutely ridiculous statement to make that got them roasted on social media. There is not a modern audience. The closest thing to a modern audience that these companies are trying to appeal to are sensitive snowflakes on social media, and clearly Compulsion Games has gone the extremely woke route They are happy to see companies rewriting their history and erasing the products that came before just because they don't think they fit into the modern world, which of course is just absurd. But of course, going and looking at the statements that she's made, as it says, on top of this all, back in 2022, in an interview with Refinery 29, Robinson admitted to posting to social media white male gamers were a mistake, and she told the outlet, "You're not going to tickle some people's fancy being outspoken or tweeting things like I do when I say white male gamers were a mistake." They preach inclusivity. These people say they want an inclusive gaming industry, which is fine. Inclusivity and diversity are great things, but then they say inclusion by exclusion, that white men shouldn't be allowed in gaming, and that white male gamers' existences are a mistake, which of course is just a disgusting thing to say. With the sheer amount of hatred she holds in her heart towards gamers, she's better off finding a new career, because she is a community manager. It is her job to talk to gamers and listen to gamers and get our feedback to hand that off to the developers so that they can actually make more money. But she hates us as a group. She doesn't want to listen to advice. She doesn't want to listen to feedback. She just wants to hear her own voice. And she is clearly brainwashed by critical race theory, saying things like you can't be racist against white people and white male gamers were a mistake, and that, again, just gamers in general are, terrible people. These people are not afraid to put their racism on complete display for the world, and sometimes they will try to delete their posts from social media, but the internet never forgets. There are archives, there are screenshots, there are reposts. It is not going to change anything, and there is a reason why South of Midnight is on the Sweet Baby Inc. detected list, as you can see right here featured on the SBI website. We know that Sweet Baby Inc. had a big hand and in this game's development, and a big role with it. As you can see, they worked on story development, script writing, cultural and character consultation. So if this is not a game that you want to support because of Sweet Baby Inc., it doesn't sound like you're going to be missing out on much, because these individuals at this company don't even want your money. They don't want your support because they do not respect you as a human being, which is absolutely terrible. I wish I could say I was surprised, but nothing these people do at this point could surprise me. And now, of course, as you saw, we have the Compulsion Games community manager, the person who is trying to make a good, solid, healthy community surrounding this game, straight up saying they hate gamers and that white male gamers were a mistake. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.